This is the Nerd Coalition. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. And now, feel the Nerdgasm. Real quick, there's something I want to talk. I know I'm going to talk about this by myself, but since they were talking about grief, there's a new horror movie, but that came out earlier this year. I want to say, was it March? I think it was. Maybe April, March, or somewhere around there. And it was called Woman in the Yard. And I saw the trailer for it, and I was like, this seems interesting. And once again, I'm like, okay, black people doing horror movies, Blumhouse, it's either going to be hit or miss type thing when it comes to Blumhouse. Now, I know Quadro doesn't watch horror movies. I know Prime sometimes does, sometimes doesn't. But this one caught my attention, and and then they just released it on Peacock. I want to say late last month, and I was like, okay, new movie. Let's try to watch it. And I have to tell y'all, we was just talking about grief. This movie is not like any horror movie you thinking about. It's so different. And it's going to have traditional horror elements to it, but it's not what you think. And if I gotta spoil this real quick for y'all. I know y'all don't necessarily care, but there's this woman with these two kids in like the farm, with like the middle of nowhere almost. Which, by the way, I hate those kind of houses. I'm just like, there's nothing near you for miles. I'm like, why would y'all want to live there? Because people really do want that quiet. But she's injured. Her leg is injured because she was in a car accident that killed her husband. So it's just her and the two kids. The kid's a teenager, and the kid is about 5 or 6 years old. So it's kind of like my family dynamic. And one day, the power goes out in the house. It's morning time. And her son's like, hey, Mom, there's a woman in the yard. It's just this woman sitting there with a black veil over her, just staring at the house. Creepy stuff. The mom goes out there to ask her, what's wrong? Like, who are you? And she said, where am I? And she says, well, you kind of own my property, so what's going on? Do you need help? Are you from the mental health center down the road? And then the lady starts telling her, today's the day. And then it's just like, uh-oh. So then she tries to humble back and go to the car to charge her phone. Because at first she's like, lady, I don't know who you are, but my husband will be back soon. She says, we know your husband's not coming back. Because she know her husband is dead. And everybody's like, well, who the hell is this lady? So the mom clearly knows something, but we don't know. But when her son keeps asking her, which this annoys me in movies too, when he's trying to ask her, like, he's a teenager, he's old enough to know, like, hey, something ain't right. Why is she out there? Who is she? Why don't we call the police? Why don't we call this? We ain't got no power. We can't charge the phone, but why don't we go down to the neighbor's house and let them know what's going on so they can contact them? And she's ignoring it like, it's fine. I'll take care of it and all this kind of other stuff. So they just sitting there watching, but throughout the course of the day, the woman's getting closer and closer to the house. So it sparks suspicion to the point where her son goes against their dad's gun that he has locked up. And he goes out there with the gun and tells this lady, you got 10 seconds to get off my property. And he starts counting down. That lady stands up, starts walking closer to him. And she reveals herself. And it's like this dark-skinned black woman. She says, listen, your mama ain't telling you the truth of what's going on. And her shadow was just like, hitting the wind chimes. And then when the son comes back in there, because the son locks his mom in the room. And once again, I'm skimming through a lot here just to get to the point. It comes to find out that the mama didn't want to live on the farm. She used to work in the city and the city life. And the dad, but when she hated her job, she hated what she was doing, so the dad moved her out to the country. But now she don't like the country no more, so now she want to move somewhere else. And he said, yo, we ain't got the money to keep this getting up and moving. And it'll work itself out. But she's done, she's over it. So then when they went out to a restaurant, she grabs the keys to the car, and it starts raining that night. And in the rearview mirror, she sees the woman from the yard. This is a flashback. And then they crash the car. So now you're starting to think like, what the hell is really going on? So then when when the woman's shadow starts entering to the house, and they go and hide him into the attic. This is when the movie really gets weird ass shit. Because here's the thing: the woman in the yard is a manifestation of the mother's dark intuitions because the mother wants to kill herself. What? This movie needed a trigger warning. Because
like a S word trigger warning, or
what'd you say?
A S word trigger warning?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the mother wanted to off herself. And even in the beginning of the movie, when she wakes up, it's like, Lord, give me strength. It wasn't to try to keep going to take care of these kids. It was to, can this give me the strength to give me the strength today to take out myself? And the woman in the yard, she was like, you called for me. It's her who is here to help her take herself out. And I said, that is some insane shit. So I'm not gonna go through all the, the stuff that happened, because it gets like that last 20 minutes gets madly confusing. But to make a long story short, she sends the kids out of the house. It's nighttime now, so she sends the kids out to the house, and she's talking to the woman. She's like, "Would it be okay?" And she shows her a light and shows the kids pictures as they're growing up and they became doctors and they look to be successful. And she only had one bullet in the rifle, and the woman is sitting there helping her point up the rifle to her chin. And it's like, we don't have all day to take herself out. And then all of a sudden it shows the barn, then it shows her coming out the barn, and the kids running up to her and ask her if she's okay, and sitting with the dog. And then the kids ask, hey, is the woman coming back? And the mom says, no, if the woman does come back, I'll know how to handle it next time. So then she the power comes back onto the house, and then it looks like a nice new house that's called Iris Haven, which is a name that she wanted to name the farm. Then they show a reflection of this painting, and it looks backwards. Like, so the interpretation is, did she really off herself, and is she in her own personal heaven? Did she not off herself, and she's back here with the kids? And if so, why is everything mirrored? It leaves up to interpretation. And a lot of people was like hating on this movie and talk about something. This is the worst thing Blumhouse ever did. It's the worst review thing Blumhouse has ever done. And I'm just like, honestly, it really isn't. It's actually quite creative, confusing, and open-ended at the end, but quite creative. And when I saw it, I was like, when y'all see something, you gotta like go watch an explain video for it. And you're like, I need somebody's other opinion so I don't sound crazy about it.
Me at the end of every Jordan Peele movie.
Yeah, kind of like that. Like, I gotta either that or certain TV shows. Like, I gotta watch the ending explain on certain things. That's what I had to go try to do. And I was looking at it, I was like, there's not that many people talking about this. And I'm like, and then because other than hating on just to hate on it, but actually just trying it out, I was like, this was actually created. Is it the best horror movie that Blumhouse has ever done? No, it's not. Okay, it's not the worst, but I was like, overall, I liked it, and it was just something different. It just, when we were talking about grief with Ironheart, it made me sit there and think like, yo, this movie that I just saw, the whole allegory of this is about grief and dealing with it. Because then you sit there and think like, when she was driving the car with her husband and she saw the lady that's sitting outside in the rearview mirror, it's like, did she try to kill her husband, and her husband just died and she just the one that got injured? That's a possibility because of how things set up. But I was like, that's just not the way I thought the movie was going. And honestly, for those out there listening or probably look at this video was trying to find an answer for themselves, it's like, to me, it felt as though that she did off herself, and she's living in her heaven or her comfort place with her kids and her dog, and probably going to the house to go see her husband. And that's what they kept it from us, because that shit is sometimes, and like I said, like Quattro can explain sometimes also. Sometimes the demon just wins. Sometimes the dark just does take over. And that it's very unfortunate. That's why I said this thing need a trigger warning for it. But I think if you give the trigger warning to it, you'll probably mess up the whole twist of the movie. And it was just like...
Yeah, you would get a story away.
Exactly. And it's like, man, that's not what I was expecting at all. So I just had to, talk about that real quick. I know, like I said, I know me and Ladies Kitchen are the only ones that saw it. I know you don't watch horror movies, Quattro, and probably, like I said, I don't think you even knew anything about it. But I was like, I got to explain and talk about stuff, because I was like, I at least want to put a video up about it, just giving my thoughts about it and how I felt as though it was, how it turned out for me, because there's not a lot of videos on it. You can find them. There's videos out there, but from the big time explain video channels that don't have nothing out there for it, I was just like, I can at least put out my 2 cents, basically. I think it's to somebody, if you got Peacock, I think you should go watch it. It's not, like I said, it's not a traditional horror movie with a lot of jump scares, but it is creepy. I would say that, but the allegory around, taking your own life is very present in this movie, and that's basically what it is. And there's happy and sad moments at the time. It's one of the location movies also. It takes place right there at that farmhouse.